Hi guys, welcome in New York. We are lucky today we have Ryan Petrich with us, and he has accepted to make an interview for the website thejailbreak.com. So Ryan, welcome.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Ryan, we have some questions to ask you today, and so I will start with the first one. So Ryan, can you introduce yourself and who you are, what you are doing, and so on? So can you give us some information?
I'm a software engineer. I'm really involved in mobile. I especially like to focus on the iOS platform, and I've released a lot of software on Cydia, and I also experiment with Android and a number of other platforms.
Okay, good. So we know that you are working in this area, in the jailbreak, in the Apple world, let's say. So can you tell us what have you done? Which Apple device have you got? What have you jailbreak, and what you have done in the past?
Sure. Well, I mean, I have pretty much every Apple iPhone and iPad released since the iPhone 3G, and I've released a lot of different jailbreak software for them. Activator, display recorder, display out. Probably I could continue going for a dozen other software. So I just like experimenting and releasing new packages and interacting with the city community.
Okay, good. Okay, so I think that you are working on this area since a long time. So when did you start to develop these kind of things for jailbreak?
Well, I started when the iPhone 3G came out in Canada. I mean, as soon as I saw the App Store and the rich user experience that the iPhone has, I knew it was going to be a new direction in mobile, and it certainly has taken off and really performed really well in the market. And so at that point, I decided I just have to get involved. This is so much better than the J2ME and other platforms at the time that I was working on. And so I just got involved in working on software for iOS, and I wasn't too happy with Apple's approach to the App Store, where you were confined to this little button where the user presses the button and it opens up and they're in your app, and then as soon as they press home, they're out and you're gone and you're no longer involved. So Cydia allows you to do a lot of great things with interacting with the window manager and with the platform in general, and you can insert code into other apps and generally make the user experience of the entire device better, rather than just that one little siloed vertical that you're allowed in.
Okay, good. So today we know that you are developing for Cydia. So are you developing for Cydia for fun? Is it your job, or do you have another job, or are you? Why are you doing that? Can you give us a reason for that?
Well, I mean, my Cydia development work is like a hobby that's really gotten out of hand.
Okay.
And I'm very successful with the Cydia stuff, but I'm also involved with a startup called Medialits, and we do rich media advertising on iOS and Android. Okay, good. So today, if somebody wants to start to develop on Cydia, what is your advice about that? What are the necessary knowledge to develop something for the App Store for Cydia? Or for Cydia, yeah. The easiest way to get started is actually to build an App Store app,
yeah,
and get some base knowledge of how Objective-C works and how the frameworks work, and sort of, I mean, there's some great tutorials and documentation and everything from video to text to books, everything about building App Store apps. So if you can get a little bit of knowledge there, you can use that to bootstrap, how to work and build tweaks and how to build Cydia software. And then the second thing is really know your memory management patterns. It's very essential that you understand, where things are created and reference counting, and to make sure that when you develop a tweak, you aren't leaking memory and releasing objects in the proper fashion, because what I see a lot is, especially with beginners, is they'll release something, a very interesting package that enhances the operating system, but they've just forgotten about memory management. It's just they just don't understand, or they missed it, and as a result, people are interested in it, and but it leaks memory, and then we have a lot of trouble figuring out, well, who exactly is, leaking this memory. When the user has, say, 10 or 12 different Cydia packages installed, it's very difficult to tell which. But yeah, if you get started just kind of with App Store development, and then you move in, Dustin Howitt has a very, very useful build system called Theos, and it has a transcompiler that ships with it called Logos that does a very, very good job of writing hook code very simple. So that's a really easy way to get started. In fact, almost too easy.
Okay. So some months ago, you have participated in a project to port series on iPad. Can you give us some information about what was your role in this team and what you have done and why you have done this kind of thing, just to understand why you have tried to help the team to migrate series on iPad?
Sure. That was Grant's project called Spire, and so he worked on taking the Siri binaries and resources that Apple ships and provides as part of the 4S and making them available on other devices. So I looked specifically at the 3GS, and others looked at the iPhone 4, and then after we released this package, people were looking at putting it on the iPad as well. So my involvement was more around, we have this software update file that we can extract, but it's hundreds of megabytes. So I took the tool Partial Zip, which I think Planet Being, confuse me if I've got that wrong, but Planet Being wrote a tool called Partial Zip, and so I expanded that tool and made it suitable for direct installation on device. And just ran some testing and helped out with the installer. So I was more around kind of the, bringing the last little bits of the project together and actually making it into a package that we can ship to end users. Okay.
And do you know if many people have downloaded this software to use it, or it was a success for you?
My understanding is that a good number of people have started to use it, and there's a number of alternative, Siri servers that people have started and they're doing, and some of them talk to Google, and so in that respect, it seems a lot of people have gravitated to it. It's certainly not something I use every day, but it's certainly something that's garnered some interest.
Okay, so what do you think today about the jailbreak community? Many things happen in this community. How do you see the future of this community and the jailbreak?
I mean, every time Apple's gearing up to release a new version of iOS, there seems to be a lull where people stop releasing packages or they just kind of wait it out. But definitely when iOS 6 comes out, you're going to see a big flurry of activity. There's going to be a whole bunch of new users wanting to flock and jailbreak their device. And so when that first jailbreak gets out after iOS 6, there's going to be a big flood. A lot of people are going to be interested. So when that happens, you'll see the community pick up.
Okay, so you don't believe the community is dead, so they will continue to develop the jailbreak for the user?
I think just from iOS is such an interesting platform for security researchers and for software engineers. I mean, just on that benchmark alone, you're going to see people interested in developing jailbreaks for the iPhone because there's hundreds of millions of users, and it's an interesting platform for security researchers to research on. And so, I mean, with that, and then there's an entire vibrant community of once you've jailbroken your device, things that you can actually do with it. You'll see the Android rooting community isn't quite as vibrant in that regard, and certainly other platforms aren't as interesting as well.
Okay, thank you. So, in a few months, Apple will announce certainly the new iPhone. So, what do you expect with this new iPhone? What are the new functionality that you are waiting for? So, what do you think about that?
I mean, Apple's announced a number of new features as part of their iOS 6 initiative. They had the big presentation at WWDC, and I mean, essentially, I think they kind of do a sort of like Intel does with a tick and a talk, where they do a major revamp and then they do a minor incremental improvement. And so I think we're going to see definitely a new design on the device, and I mean probably a faster CPU with maybe a better camera. There's been some speculation that we'll see near field communication, things like that. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
Okay, good. So, so do you have some things to tell to the people who are looking this video in the future? So, you have some message to give them about the jailbreak or something else? Do you want to give a last message?
Just save your SHSHs, have fun, and enjoy my software on Cydia.
Okay, good. So Ryan, thank you very much for the video. It was thejailbreakbay.com.